Today on What They Ate, we're slicing into the neurotic diet of Friedrich Nietzsche, a man who wrestled with words as much as he did with his dinner. You see, Nietzsche wasn't just any old philosopher. He was the kind of guy who looked at a bowl of soup and saw the universe staring back. According to Nietzsche, each experience should be digested, extracting what nourishment we can from it before passing it out of our systems. But here's the kicker. Nietzsche's relationship with food was, well, complicated. Suffering from severe digestion problems for the majority of his life, Europe became Nietzsche's buffet as he roamed from the sun-kissed French Riviera to Italy's gastronomic landscapes, all as part of a quest to soothe his digestive woes. And restaurants? Forget about it. He once complained that he was too tender an animal to take his fodder with the masses. What a guy. So buckle up as we dive into the neurotic diet of Friedrich Nietzsche. Over the years, Friedrich Nietzsche developed a love of cooking. Yes, that's right. The heavyweight philosopher of existential dread occasionally swapped his pen for a spatula. In a sunny kitchen in Genoa during the 1880s, Nietzsche's landlady introduced him to the art of making torta di carciofi. Imagine Nietzsche, eyebrows furrowed in concentration as he learned to dance around the kitchen, frying artichokes to a golden crisp, whisking eggs with the finesse of a seasoned chef, all for the love of that savory Tuscan tart. But the culinary adventures didn't stop there. In Sorrento around the same time period, amidst a villa hugged by lemon trees, his housemaid revealed the secrets of perfect risotto to Nietzsche, a ritual of patience, lovingly stirring and ladling stock for hours. Nietzsche, ever the student, was now poised to become the master, declaring to his mother his intent to pass on the sacred knowledge of risotto making. He wrote to her in a letter, "I shall teach you later how to cook risotto. I know now." Nietzsche's entire correspondence with his mother testifies to the primitive character of his nutrition. In 1877, Nietzsche details his dietary program in a letter to his mother. The regiment was as follows. Starting in the 1870s, the Übermensch rose every morning at 5 a.m. for a beverage with some historical heft. Unsweetened hot cacao, a beverage so ancient it's practically a fossil. His preferred brand was Van Houten's Dutch cacao, because hey, why settle for modern when you can drink like the pharaohs? But as with all geniuses, curiosity prevailed, and Nietzsche found himself flirting with the Swiss variety occasionally, indulging in the Swiss brand Sprugli, because national borders mean nothing in the pursuit of the perfect morning brew. Am I right? In his book H.A. Ohm, Nietzsche writes, "In an enervating climate, tea is not a good beverage with which to start the day. An hour before taking it, an excellent thing is to drink a cup of thick cacao." So, after hitting the snooze button on the sun itself for another hour, yes, Nietzsche drank a hot cup of cocoa and then went back to bed, Nietzsche rose again, presumably to ensure the first waking wasn't a fluke. This time, he opted for a cup of tea from his favorite brand, Horniman's, proving that even philosophers can be creatures of habit, or perhaps just really indecisive about their morning drinks. Well caffeinated, Nietzsche was ready to tackle the day's ponderings, having successfully navigated the existential crisis of breakfast beverage choice. When noon rolled around, Nietzsche treated himself to a banquet that would make a hobbit weep with envy. You see, Nietzsche's philosophy was, a heavy meal is digested more easily than an inadequate one, which is why this wasn't just lunch to Nietzsche. It was the lunch, the main event of his day. So, what was on the menu? Well, Nietzsche started his meal with a thin, brothy soup consisting of a quarter teaspoon of Liebig extract, the culinary equivalent of a dark, brooding philosopher condensed into a syrupy beef paste. Accompanying this were 2 ham sandwiches standing guard around a solitary hard-boiled egg like a loyal watchman. Besides, a modest ensemble of 6 to 8 nuts, because who's counting, paired with the simplicity of some bread, 2 apples for a touch of sweetness, a duo of ginger pieces for that existential zing, and 2 biscuits, because why have one when you can have 2? In the summer of 1888, Nietzsche, while in Switzerland, decided to shake up his menu with a new experiment. Imagine Nietzsche there in the Swiss Alps at the grand dining room of his favorite restaurant, the Siddle's Alpenrose. A dining room soon to be filled with the chatter of 100 hungry souls, and far too many children for Nietzsche's liking. So, to avoid the lunchtime spectacle, he snuck in half an hour early, eschewing the common menu for a feast of his own design, a beefsteak with spinach, followed by a large omelet smothered in apple jam. Because, well, if you're going to go through the trouble of redefining morality, you might as well do it on a full stomach, right? Yummy indeed. When the sun dipped and the existential angst of the day began to settle, Nietzsche toned down the culinary theatrics for something a bit more Spartan. The 1870s saw a typical Nietzsche dinner consisting of a single egg, presumably pondering its own existence, nestled beside a slice of bread, accompanied by exactly 5 nuts, because he's obviously got some form of OCD. To wash it down, a glass of sweetened milk, because even Nietzsche needed a little sweetness in his life. Finally, pair that with a crisp bread or a trio of biscuits for those extra crunchy nights of deep contemplation. As the years waned on, so did the complexity of his nighttime nosh. By the tail end of the 1880s, Friedrich's letters to his dear old mother detailed a dinner that would make any minimalist nod in approval. A few slices of ham, 2 egg yolks, because why have the whole egg when you can live on the edge, and 2 bread rolls. It's as if he decided, who needs a banquet when I've feasted on thoughts all day? Thus, with a dinner as understated as his mustache was overstated, Nietzsche closed his days, ever consistent in his pursuit of simplicity, at least on his plate. In the grand smorgasbord of life, Nietzsche had his heart set on one particular culinary delight, charcuterie, the kind of meaty marvel that would make any vegetarian second-guess their life choices. His letters to his mama were basically an ode to ham sausage, and the occasional shout-out to honey, chopped rhubarb, and sponge cake, because, let's face it, even philosophers need dessert. Charcuterie, for those in the know, isn't just fancy meat. Oh no, it's a culinary tradition that's older than Socrates. Picture ancient Greeks and Romans salt-curing their meats not just for the gram, but because it was the only way to ensure their leg of lamb could make the trek from Athens to Rome without spoiling. By the time the Middle Ages rolled around, charcuterie had gone from survival tactic to high art. France, ever the culinary show-off, started popping up charcuterie shops like they were Starbucks, turning preserved meats into the must-have accessory for any self-respecting urbanite's table. But Nietzsche, he was all about that German charcuterie life. His letters home were essentially groceryless. Dear Mama, please send more of that German sausage, and while you're at it, throw in some biscuits and cake. And in a move that blended domesticity with a dash of the macabre, in 1888 he'd hang the sausage his mother sent him, 6 kilos of smoked pork loin sausages, a mild ham, from the strings on his walls. One can only imagine him, pen in hand, drafting the Antichrist beneath a string of cold smoked pork loins, silently judging his every word. In the swinging 1880s of Italy, Nietzsche decided to chill a bit, literally, diving spoon first into the world of gelato. As a philosopher most known for wrestling with the weight of existence, he occasionally liked to ponder the existential bliss found in the cone of creamy gelato. Nietzsche, ever the connoisseur of culture, dug gelato an expression of the highest culture, possibly while sporting a gelato mustache. That would have been a sight to behold. Gelato is a dessert with a pedigree dating back thousands of years, making it one of the OGs of frozen treats. Originally, it was more of a pharaoh snack in 3000 BC, with Egyptians serving up cups of crushed ice mixed with flavorings. Fast forward to Italy, where they decided, hey, let's sweeten the deal with some honey, marking the early days of gelato's Italian makeover. In the late 1500s, when the Medici family, always up for hosting a culinary showstopper, roped in Bernardo Buontalenti, a Renaissance man in the truest sense. Bernardo's job? Whip up something special for the visiting King of Spain. Bernardo, probably wearing his artist hat and an apron, concocted what is essentially the gelato we know and love today, earning royal thumbs up and presumably making the king's visit to Italy a tad cooler. So, As it turns out, even Nietzsche, the philosopher known for grappling with heavy existential themes, couldn't resist the lighter side of life, especially when it came in flavors. It's a sweet reminder that perhaps the pursuit of the highest culture might just lead us to the nearest gelato stand. In Nietzsche's culinary adventures, from learning to cook traditional Italian food in Genoa to his philosophical musings over charcuterie, we see not just a man striving and largely failing for physical health, but a thinker nonetheless, constantly in search of balance, meaning, and perhaps a kind of dietary harmony that could parallel his philosophical pursuits. Nietzsche's exploration of diet, from the neurotic precision of his meals to his philosophical digestion metaphors, mirrors his broader quest for understanding and interpreting our world. Craving more culinary deep dives? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to join us on more historical culinary expeditions, because remember, everyone needs to eat.